Excellent. I want to thank you all for being here, both online, and in person. The next talk is going to be laws of healing innate intelligence. We're going to go over some stuff I've talked about before, some new stuff that I just learned this weekend. So it's going to be fun. With that being said, excuse me, let's start with one simple thing. What is health? Any ideas? Just blurt it out. Taking 14 drugs, is that health? Drinking a case of beer a night, is that health?
When the body heals itself.
When the body heals itself?
And you're providing ways of helping the body to heal itself.
So we're providing ways for the body to heal itself. 100%. So based on the WHO, or World Health Organization, they define health as optimal physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. So if we say that another way, just because you're not diagnosed with a disease doesn't mean you're healthy. You have to be in the best physical state. You have to be in the best mental state. And a lot of people, that isn't where they're at anymore. And you have to be
the guy who got raised here to speak at the moment.
Social well-being. That means you have to be in community. If we're lacking any of those, we're not optimally healthy. That means if we don't connect with people routinely, we're not going to be healthy. If we don't move our body, we're not going to be healthy. And if we don't have the ability to deal with stress mentally and how we deal with it, we're not healthy. And it's not just not being diagnosed with disease. And we'll hear things that are quite alarming to me. Well, doc, I'm perfectly healthy except for the blood pressure med I'm on and the statin drug. And I'm like, well, then you're not healthy. It's really simple. It's either you're healthy or you're not. Now, there's gray lines in between. There's optimal health here, and then there's gray lines of death here, but there's health and then varying degrees towards death. Does that make sense? So if you want to be optimal healthy, when you look at all of this stuff, you need to understand what they're explaining to you is that the brain of that person that's healthy is working correctly. So if your frontal lobe is working correctly, you can think correctly. You can make wise decisions. The executive center, the thing that runs everything, is working. But if it doesn't, then any form of stress will affect us. Any emotional stress will have us fall apart. Physical stress will have us fall apart. Cognitive stress. Michelle, can you turn that TV off, please? So when somebody says I'm healthy, and I go, well, how do you know? Well, I don't have a disease. I go, okay, that's nice. But then I can play devil's advocate and go, well, what's the first symptom of 70% of people that die of a heart attack? What's the symptom of the heart attack? The heart attack that kills them.
Suddenly.
Like just suddenly out of the blue. That heart attack to grow on average takes 10, 15 years. What's the first symptom of that cancer that's been growing in your body for 10, 20, 30 years? Well, if you get blood tests, you're going to see different hormone, blood flow things. If you get a CT, you could see it. But the thing is, most of the time, the symptom, if it shows up, is literally it's not going to be taken care of. So I need you to understand how you feel is literally 0.5% of how healthy you are. I'm going to say that again. How you feel is 0.5% of how healthy you are. How many people feel perfectly fine and have uncontrolled diabetes? How many people feel perfectly fine and have XYZ problem? Lots of people. We can talk about it all the time. This one's really interesting. How many people feel perfectly fine and have high cholesterol? All the time. So what's high cholesterol? Chronic inflammation. What's high blood sugar? Chronic inflammation. What drives 99% of all disease? Chronic inflammation. So if we understand that if we can control inflammation, it will change our lives. But there are different things that can drive inflammation. One of the things that can drive inflammation is if your thyroid isn't working correctly. Another thing that can drive inflammation is if your neurotransmitters aren't working correctly. Another thing that can drive inflammation is if your hormones like testosterone, estrogen aren't working correctly. And those are just some of them. Other ones are you're emotionally stressed out and you literally make more cholesterol. And cholesterol, I don't know if you notice this, cholesterol and diabetes are literally like best friends. Mm-hmm. And the reason is cholesterol will literally bind or gum up the receptor site for insulin, but it will also do the same for all your hormones. So now you have high cholesterol, now you have a thyroid problem. Now you have a testosterone issue, or like I'm low energy or brain fog or different things like that. So I'll tell you the answer, the magic pill per se that will help you lower cholesterol. Omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil. Literally, this is how crazy this is. In the United Kingdom, in England, if a doctor does not prescribe fish oil to their patient and they're over 40, it's malpractice. You ever hear about that here? No. And I'll tell you why. I was at a seminar on the weekend and we had some medical doctors there. And the presenter goes, how many hours of nutrition have you been taught? 0. Isn't that crazy? So what we need to understand is that they mean well, they're just not taught what to do. So if you take anything away from what I'm telling you tonight, you need clean, high, healthy omega-3s. It is anti-inflammatory and will make every single hormone in your body work better. That's insulin, that's thyroid, that's adrenal, that's testosterone, that's estrogen, that's literally everything that you want to talk about. If you're not taking omega-3s and your estrogen isn't right, get on omega-3s. If you're not taking omega-3s and your insulin isn't right, take omega-3s. If you're not, name the hormone, testosterone, not right, omega-3s. So what are the omega-3s that we want to take? We want to look at the the container, and know what we're taking. So the key is when you turn the container around, it'll say capsule size of 1,000 milligrams. That just means how big it is. It doesn't tell you how much oil is actually in it. Then it's going to tell you how much EPA, DHA, or GLA is in it. The EPA and DHA and GLA are the ones that heal you. Omega-6s are not what you need to eat. They will drive inflammation. Omega-9s are not what you need to eat. They will drive inflammation. Where do you get omega-6s from? Eating meat. So if you eat any meat, you're going to have enough omega-6s. What we need is omega-3s. How much omega-3s do we need, doc, to be healthy? Research shows you need 2 to 4 grams. So if you use the product I have, that's 5 to 6 pills a day. If you use the stuff from Costco, it's 25 pills a day. Just FYI. So if you're like, well, I'm going to go get some omega-3s from Amazon or Costco, whatever, they're really, really cheap because you're not getting as much omega-3 as you need. Get the omega-3s and it will literally get rid of inflammation. If we want to get rid of inflammation, the number one thing I will give you is omega-3s, and the number 2 is curcumin, or the high value curcumin that we have called turmeric. Those are the 2 anti-inflammatory products that we give to everybody that will literally shut down inflammation. They will change your life. They changed mine. My life, I love playing sports. So I play hockey, I play tennis, I ski. And in the last 5 years, what happened to me is every time I play hockey, I'd wake up the next day and my joints would hurt. And I'd barely be able to move and get out of bed. Every time I would play tennis, the same thing would happen. By taking these 2 products, I can now hop out of bed and there's nothing. And it's because of the chronic inflammation that has been driving my body. The other thing that I need you to be aware of that will destroy your body is industrial seed oils. What are industrial seed oils? I'll tell you the good ones, and if they're not the good ones, you don't eat them. And if you're going to eat them, eat more omega-3s, because omega-3s are what balance out the industrial seed oils. So what's an industrial seed oil? Anything that is not, these are the good ones. The good ones are coconut oil, avocado oil. Good. Walnut seed oil. And last but not least, avocado oil, or not avocado, olive oil. If you're eating anything else, it's bad. Now, if you're not allergic to casein, butter's okay. Butter and lard are okay. But if you're getting lard, you have to have organic, grass-fed cow, or not cows, but pigs. Ghee. Ghee is okay if it's organic, grass-fed. If you're not allergic to dairy, the only way you're going to find that out is, so the main things people are allergic to is gluten, corn, soy, and dairy. So basically everything that tastes really good, most people are allergic to. So, what are the ones that are toxic to you? Soy, canola, grapeseed, vegetable. Anything that is not the four that I mentioned, or ghee or butter, like actual from a pig or from a cow, is bad. But if you want to be safe, you do the vegetable, you do the fruit-based ones. You do the avocado, you do the olive, you do the coconut, and you do the walnut. Those are the healthy ones. The walnut's really expensive. So the easiest way is usually avocado or olive. Those ones will keep you healthy. If you eat any of the other ones, you see it and goes, oh, soy oil, it can't be that bad. It's literally the devil. It literally turns into inflammation. It turns into alpha linoleic acid, which is inflammatory and is really toxic on you. Based on some research that I've read, it says that if you change oils over to just eating omega-3s or good clean oils like the four that I just mentioned, it can take up to 2 years to get all the rancid bad stuff out of you. And it can cause literally chronic inflammation, chronic pain. It can cause diseases, all these crazy things. So if you get rid of those oils, you'll get healthy, because that's driving inflammation. So we're looking at this. I'm gonna go, okay. I went off on a tangent. Sorry, guys. Okay. Innate intelligence. What is innate intelligence? Innate intelligence is the internal intelligence within your body that literally controls everything. It's the intelligence that took you from one cell, makes you into 77 trillion cells. It's the inborn intelligence that controls you. It's the spark that controls you. It always does what's right for you. Your body will always do what's right for you. Example, do you know there is no recorded cases of a person having too high of a fever and getting brain issues? The high temperature comes from being exposed to heat. So it's exposure to the sun, heat exposure. There is no recorded brain damage or disease or dysfunction by the body raising the temperature itself. Look it up. You won't find it. That's because the body knows how to control itself. It doesn't want to hurt itself. But the problem is if you have it inflamed because you're eating the wrong things, you're stressed out, you're hitting your head on stuff, then it can cause bad signals to go to the brain, and the brain will do the best it can do with what it's told. Make sense? So the three that I was going to talk about is brain health, liver health, and gut health. Seeing as I don't have a lot of time left, I'm going to go into liver health. This is a new one that we're going to add in, but it's related to gut. Are you guys okay with that? Okay. So let's look at what the liver does. The liver's function is very diverse. The main thing that we know that it does is detoxifies us. So it gets rid of all the bad stuff that we're exposed to. The liver's the thing that gets rid of the benzene rings coming off of the gas that's coming out of people's exhaust. The liver's the thing that helps you deal with formaldehyde. The liver is the thing that helps you deal with genetically modified foods. The liver is the thing that helps you remove anything that's bad to you. So are most of you aware that in the water in the United States, there are trace amounts of birth control, antidepressants, and psychotic meds in all the water? The liver is what makes you get rid of it, if it's healthy. If it's not healthy, you get sick. So the liver literally is going to determine how you get rid of toxins. If your liver is sick or your gallbladder is sick, guess where the first symptom will show up 90% of the time? Your skin. So if you get hives, as long as it's not a allergic reaction or histamine-based reaction, and those happen real quick, if the reaction takes a couple days, that's an immune system or a toxin issue. So let's say you eat, let's talk about a patient. We have patients that have not had an acidic enough stomach, which allows parasites to live in their body, and we start treating them and killing the parasite. But if the liver isn't strong enough, it can't get rid of the parasite, all the particles that have the broken down parasite, and then the body will literally push it out, and it will come out through the skin, and people will get hives because their liver isn't strong enough. Pretty crazy, right? What else can happen? If your liver isn't working correctly, we'll see things like jaundice. You ever seen people with yellow eyes? That's when their liver is so sick that it can't get rid of toxins. So bile is usually yellow or green. And so that buildup of toxins is what's happening there. The liver also helps you modulate blood sugar. So if your blood sugar is off and your liver isn't healthy, you can't make it work correctly. Guess what hormone controls blood sugar produced by the liver? It's going to be something you're not going to be thinking about. Cortisol and cortisone. They're literally what's called glucocorticoids. That means when they are produced, they spike your blood sugar. Cortisol and cortisone will literally make you have high A1C if you continually are exposed to it. So what we see is if you're giving cortisol or prednisone or something, an injection like that, it will literally push up your blood sugars.
Wow.
Because make your liver liberate sugars. Then it also helps you deal with immune issues. So it helps you build your immune system. The liver is big on that. But what we're going to get to is detoxification, because there's one thing that we chronically hear about, and I want people to understand this. If you are a female and you have PMS, you have fibroids, you have cysts, you have any time when flow is supposed to come, the countdown's like, oh crap, 10 days, 5 days, 4 days, oh no. If you know somebody who's like that, they have a sluggish liver, no questions. How do I know this? The liver's job is to destroy sex hormones. You're supposed to use them, testosterone or estrogen, and then get rid of them, lose them. You're not supposed to use them, and they're not supposed to keep floating around in the body. If they do, you will get problems. I'm going to give you an example of how this works. So I'm going to go a little bit through the chemistry, but I'm going to show you how this works. So we have let's say estradiol. This is one of the estrogens. And what happens is you use it, and then what's supposed to happen, you're supposed to get rid of it. When this gets broken down in the liver, it becomes hydroxyestradiol. So let's call it hydroxy, if I remember correctly, E2. This is the first phase of liver detox. It adds a hydroxy group. And you go, what's that mean, doc? It means it adds an OH group to it. And wherever it adds the OH group to it is the form of estrogen that it comes out as. So there's 3 forms that this can come out as. 2 will toxically hurt you and 1 is good. So the good kind is 2-hydroxy estradiol. That means it attaches to the second carbon atom. The bad kind is 4-hydroxy estradiol, and the worst kind is 16-hydroxy estradiol. This form, when it's broken down in the liver, will become water soluble very easily. So this is called phase 1. Basically, it means the liver takes in the estrogen and breaks it down. Now, if the liver gets sluggish, weak, what will happen is these will build up. If you have friends and family members that have fibroids or cysts or get PMS, this form, 4-hydroxy estradiol, is produced at too much of a amount, and guess what it does? It's actually an anabolic product. It makes the uterus grow. It makes fibroids grow. This is not ever supposed to be in the bloodstream. It's supposed to get converted into, I'll make it simple. It's supposed to get converted into either using methyl, which is B vitamins, or sulfur, which is glutathione, to flush it out and be water soluble. What's supposed to happen is you're supposed to take it, break it down in the liver, and then you're supposed to metabolize it into water soluble form, which is phase 2. And then you're supposed to either push it out of the gallbladder and poop it out, or push it into the circulation and your kidneys make you pee it out. But if you have a sick liver, you will overproduce 4-hydroxy estradiol, which will literally make fibroids happen. The other one, though, this one, 16-hydroxy, that's the one that causes hot flashes. That's the one that causes craziness to happen mentally because it's inflammatory. These forms are literally inflammatory to your body and your brain. So they're only supposed to be made for short periods of time and then converted. So if we want to think about this, let's think of estradiol or estrogen as like a gorilla. Let's not do a gorilla. As like a rabid dog in a cage. And then you got to take that rabid dog and move it into the container to take it somewhere. The movement from cage to cage is here. It's only supposed to be out of the cage for seconds. And then it's supposed to turn it into the good kinds, which are 4-hydroxy sulfate E2, which basically this means it turns into a water-soluble form. You don't need to know this. But basically I'm showing you is that if it gets stuck out, it gets out, the rabid dog gets out and doesn't go into the cage. Now it can go around in the body and cause problems. That will only happen when the liver is sick. So if you have a friend or family member who suffers from PMS, fibroids, any of the female issues that happen monthly, it's literally because they produce too much of these two. Isn't that crazy? And why does that happen? Liver problems. Well, my mom has it. Liver problems. My dad has it. Well, I'm sorry that's not possible, but but what I'm showing you is it can be that you have a hereditary liver issue in your family where you don't metabolize the hormones out. Now, to do this, estrogen is more taxing on the liver than any other thing in the body. It uses up all your B vitamins. So what do you need to do? You got to make sure they have enough B vitamins. What do you need to do? You got to make sure they have enough sulfur. The simple thing that we do is go, let's fix the liver first. So what we do is we'll give people a product called Hepatosynergy, which is pills, or Clearvite, which is a powder that you take, and you take it for 2 months, and it literally detoxes or disintegrates all the bad stuff in your liver so it'll heal. At the same time, what will make these bad ones go away, the 4 and the 16, is resveratrol. High amounts of resveratrol will change these into this, which is soluble and goes away easy. If you have a lot of 16, guess what you do? You grow breast cancer. If you have a lot of 4, guess what you do? You grow fibroids. So what do we need to do? Fix the liver, give the person resveratrol, and you literally watch the stuff go away. Isn't that crazy? So how do we make sure the body works correctly? Make sure the liver's detoxing. Why wouldn't it be detoxing? Well, we live in a toxic environment. Just looking at cadavers, so I had to do 2 years of cadaver study when I was in school. Anybody who lives in the city will have black lungs. Not completely black, but they'll have black lungs. So you can literally tell if they live in the city or not just by the color of their lungs. People who live in the country, they're nice and pink. The people who live in the city, black, just because of exposure to all the bad stuff in the air. So that's hard on you. So if your body can do what it needs and the liver can work correctly, you will detox and you will heal. So the simple takeaway is, if you have a friend or family member who has this, get them on a liver detox, get them on resveratrol, and you can watch this go away in like 2 to 3 months. Or you can watch the problem keep propagating. And it's your choice, because we don't want this one. This one is literally driving cancer, driving inflammation. We don't want this one because it drives fibroids. Together, they cause hot flashes, imbalances, emotional swings, all the bad stuff that we don't want to deal with. And it's because our liver is sick and sluggish. The next thing that it could be is our gallbladder, because if we can't push out those toxins, because the liver pushes the toxin in the gallbladder, and then it's supposed to go into the digestion, and you're supposed to defecate it or poop it out. So it goes liver, gallbladder, intestine, poop. Liver, gallbladder, intestine, poop. That's healthy. If it doesn't work, we get problems. So your body knows how to do this, but if you've made it not work correctly because you've toxified it, then we get problems. And if it's not simple enough, then we can do advanced testing to see which one of these is off. It's called the Dutch test, and it will literally show us what to do to help the people if they have that. But what I want you to understand is, if your brain is healthy, your bowel is healthy, and your liver is healthy, you're going to live a long time. Guess what resveratrol does? It makes your white blood cells work better so you can attack stuff, but it also makes your liver detoxify. So that's why people have been correlated to eating turmeric or resveratrol live longer, because they're not as toxic. If you want to live long and be healthy, then literally the law of healing for your brain is make the frontal lobe work correctly. If you want to live long and be healthy for the liver, make sure that phase 1 and phase 2, that means detox, works correctly. And if you want to make sure that you don't get autoimmune, self-induced by digestive issues, or you don't become overreactive, make sure the bowel is sound. So make sure the membranes in the bowel, membranes in the brain, and the liver's healthy, and you're going to stay healthy. Well, how do I know how this is working? A blood test can show us this. The EEG shows me the brain. But if these are working correctly, I know you'll heal. If they aren't, I know we're going to get problems. We're going to get chronic inflammation. We're going to get chronic degeneration. We don't want that. So what we want to do is make sure these things are working correctly. So who am I talking to here? Well, there's different groups of people. People that think they're healthy. Get checked. Show me your blood. Show me your EEG, and then I'll tell you if you're healthy. Don't just tell me I feel good, I feel bad. How do the people feel before they have the heart attack? I feel good, doc. There's people who know they need help, but don't know where to go. We're here for you. There's people that literally are sick and don't know where to go. We're here for you. I want you to understand that you knowing what you know now, you have the ability to change somebody's life. You have the ability to let them know somewhere where we're actually going to take care of them. I see crazy stuff. I hear people tell me if they read one marker, this is what the medical profession usually does. They'll tell you if they read just the thyroid TSH marker, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, they'll tell you how good your thyroid is. The problem with that is the downstream effect of that is 4 steps downstream, so it doesn't tell you anything about if the thyroid is working. So unless you actually test what you need to test, you have no clue how healthy the person is. Does this make sense? So if you're really sick, get blood. You can even go genetics and see if you have a predisposition to chronic inflammation. I'll leave you with this one. There's one specific gene, chromosome number 5. It's the HLA-DQ gene, and it literally makes 99% of all disease. It's a chronic inflammatory gene. If you have it, you're prone to any number of autoimmune chronic inflammatory diseases. If you don't have it turned on, you're fine. But you can turn it off. Guess how you turn it off? Resveratrol, turmeric, getting adjusted, living a good lifestyle, having a good mental connection, having that good social network, having physical activity. Making sense? So think about the friend who doesn't know they're healthy or doesn't know that they're sick but think they're healthy. Or the person who thinks, I'm perfectly healthy, I want to live longer. We can help them too. Or the one that has a problem. Those are all the kinds of people we can take care of. Think of that friend or family member and understand if they can get checked, they can know where they are. If they don't, they're just guessing. And they have to get the right test done. Because I'll hear chronically, oh, I had a full hormone panel done, doc. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You had one test. And it didn't cover anything. It was just telling me luteinizing hormone. It didn't tell me anything about all the other hormones that actually run. They didn't tell me free testosterone. They just told me luteinizing hormone. They didn't tell me free estrogen or free thyroid. They just tell me thyroid stimulating hormone. And I know you don't understand it, but basically I'm telling you, if you don't get the right tests, they're just guessing. So what I want you to think of is a friend or family member and help them out. Let them get checked. Have them get checked. Let's see if we can help them. Because now we know what we need to look for. It's more than just I feel good or I feel bad. It's what are your numbers? What's your brain score? How healthy is your brain? If that works correctly, then how's your liver? How's your gut? That's all working correctly when you're healthy. If it isn't, we know we're getting sick. Eat those good oils, and please don't eat the bad ones because they will literally kill you. So there's a cool chart, and it literally showed when they started adding in, companies did because it's cheap, adding them in, the spike in cancer literally went parabolic. That means it literally exponentially grew from the 70s and 80s. It just started going whoop, way up. Because tell me how hard it is to find something in a box that doesn't have soy, canola, or vegetable oil in it. It's almost impossible because it's really cheap, but it also will kill you. So think of a friend or family member, help them get checked. If not, do something simple. Take those omega-3s, start eating some different oils, get that brain checked, make sure you get adjusted, and your body will do well. You'll heal. I want to thank you guys for all being here. Have a good night.